Okay, so it's a beautiful Sunday morning here in Los Angeles. I'm at the Petersen Automobile Museum for Bruce Meyer's American Car Cruise-In. So it's like a really nice cars and coffee event. This time it's going to be mostly American cars. Of course, featured marque is Shelby and Cobra, and they've actually got a couple of the cars from the movie Ford V Ferrari here. I think there's about 4 cars from the movie, as well as some really cool stuff, a lot of Shelbys and Cobras. Since it's the American car cruising, I actually brought my American Motors car. I think you can see it over my shoulder right now. So there's me, and then there's an AMX parked next to me, and we're the only American Motors products here right now, but we'll see what actually shows up. I think everything's actually in by now. So I'm going to do a quick walk around, show you some of the really cool, amazing stuff that's here, because there's a lot of really rare, a lot of race stuff even, and I'm sure you'll be very interested, because it's stuff you just generally don't see all the time. All right, so here's a quick sweep of the lower level. It's like actually the 3rd level of the parking garage here at the Petersen. And they had a little bit of a charge to enter your car. And it actually includes a entry into the museum, including a Daytona viewing party. So we're going to see how that goes down. I'm going to shoot all that. So it's definitely a full event. And I'm going to be, like I said, there's a lot of rare stuff. There's even stuff not even in the shot. There's stuff underneath me, and there's stuff on the level that I'm standing on. So lots of really cool stuff, really something for everyone. All right, so over in the section over here, they actually have some of the cars from the movie Ford V Ferrari. If you actually saw it, this is one of the Ford GTs from the film. Of course, it's not a real one. It's sort of a replica done up so they could thrash it, and it's even got the movie dirt that they put on there. It's like a fake dirt to kind of age it and to make it look dirty. They do a nice job, because obviously it looks great on screen. If you haven't seen the movie, I really recommend it. It might even still be in theaters. If not, I'm sure it's going to be coming out on DVD or actually online streaming very soon. This is, again, one of the other cars from the movie Ford V Ferrari. So you can see how they do the interiors, very sparse, but it looked good on screen. I'm going to show the carburetor ports, the way they did it, and the plexiglass cover in the back for simulated engine cooling. But they do a nice job, and like I said, the movie was very good if you haven't seen it. Okay, here's another one of the GTs from the movie Ford V Ferrari. Going to kind of show how they did it. It's got the race gas cap, actually on both sides. Show a little bit of the interior with the right-hand drive. The carburetor ports. So definitely a piece of film history right here at the Petersen Automobile Museum. And this one's actually a real car. This is actually a real Stingray from the 1960s that was used in the filming of Ford V Ferrari. It's got the Daytona Speedway pass on the windshield. And come around here, and this one's also got, it's kind of got the race dirt on it. It's kind of make it look a little bit more aged and like it's been in a long race all day and collected all the dirt from the track. But this one, they actually did take a real 1960s Stingray. I'll show you the interior to come up with this car for the race scenes in the movie. Very cool to see. Okay, there's a bunch of original Shelby cars here on display, since Shelby and Cobra are the featured marque, including this original 289 Cobra. So obviously you don't see very many of these. Most car shows you go to, you might see a couple fake Cobras, but not a real one. So a real treat to see some original cars here. And of course we got a GT350 right here. It's got the correct Carroll Shelby wheels on it. I mean, there's just literally Cobras as far as the eye can see. Everything from the 1960s to current. Some GT500s here even. All right, here's one of the modern Shelby Daytona coupes. One of the new ones you can buy from, I believe it's Super Performance. sort of a continuation of the historic cars from the 1960s. As well as that, they even build a brand new 427 Cobra for those that don't want to have a real one and spend millions of dollars. But beautiful car nonetheless. And next to that, we actually have a GT350H. Now, this is actually one of the Hertz rental racers from the 1960s. You could actually get a license from Hertz to rent these. Actually, my dad had a license back in the day, he told me, to rent these, and people would rent these and then go take them out to the racetrack and race them and then return them. And they were Shelby Mustangs that you could actually rent, like you rent a regular car at Hertz. All right, here's another GT350H Hertz car. This one's actually got the automatic. I always thought that they were all automatic. The one I just showed you was actually a manual shift car, but here's another one. This one's the automatic. So someone, of course, might correct me if they were all automatic or some were manual. Maybe the other one was altered later, or maybe there were a few manual transmission cars in the GT350Hs. But kind of neat to see two in one place. Here's a early second-gen Camaro done up as a road race car. This one's actually looks like it participates in the historic races. Of course, it's got a full roll cage as you expect from a race car, and all the goodies for racing. So kind of neat. I'm sure it's not street driven, so I'm sure they trailered it here, but neat to see nonetheless. I just had to shoot this one. This is actually a 1961 Ford Sunliner convertible, so a big Galaxy drop top. This one's got the 390 with 3 2-barrel carburetors on it. And this thing is absolutely spotless, and it's got the cool Ford logo mirrors. Actually, I had a 62 Country sedan. I had those mirrors on it. This one's actually a Cruise-O-Matic car, so not a manual transmission, but it's actually got the Cruise-O-Matic automatic transmission. It's got the poverty caps. I don't know if it left the factory like this, but if it did, that is just pretty badass. But just an absolutely beautiful car, and you know, something very, very unique. All right, here's another oddball. This is actually a 53 Chrysler Traveler Deluxe sedan, but it's got a hatchback in the back, so it's got the original flathead engine in it. Coming around here. This was something you could use for hauling stuff. You see, he's got a pedal car in the back, and it's got like wood and something extremely unique. It's not something that was done a lot back then. Of course, now you've got the whole SUV craze, and just about everything has a way to haul something. But back then, not so much. Once again, wow, a very interesting orphan car right here at the American Car Cruisin'. Alright, so by now, if you watched a bunch of my videos, you've seen my Pacer enough times, but I'm going to show you the cool AMX that's sitting next to it, or kind of like the proud AMC owners here. And this one's actually really cool. This is the early AMX with the blanked off back seat, so it's like a shortened Javelin automatic. He's got a cool tachometer on it. Wow, that's interesting. And this is Barnstormer Racing on it, and very cool example of like an early AMX. It's got the original American Motors badge right behind the rear window. Very cool. And this one's a 343, so I guess this is before the 390 and the 401. There's a couple more of the super performance cars. These are based on the Grand Sport Corvettes from the 1960s. And of course another Shelby Cobra. And a Super Performance 289 Cobra right there for you. So lots of really interesting race type 60s vehicles to see here. Okay, this is actually Bruce Meyer's Cobra. I believe they said this was actually like the first Cobra. So definitely a very, very interesting piece of Cobra history. It's even got the glove compartment signed by Carroll Shelby. And it's got an original manufacturer plate from the 1960s, the old school black manufacturer plate. So, wow, there you go. An amazing piece of 60s race and 60s Shelby history. Okay, so if you watched my last video, which was the Grand National Roadster Show in Pomona, you know they do the America's Most Beautiful Roadster Award every year. So actually the show's actually still going on. Today's the last day in Pomona. But here at the Petersen for the Bruce Meyer's American Car Cruising, they actually have this, which is one of the former winners of the America's Most Beautiful Roadster award at the Grand National Roadster Show. This one's called the Alien. This one actually won in 1969. So it's a full custom bodied roadster. So something that really evokes the era. It's got a Mustang steering wheel with the spokes kind of elongated out, and it's got a Mustang instrument cluster in there. And I believe this is another former winner of the America's Most Beautiful Roadster Award. I don't know what year because there's no plaque on this one. Looks like it's called Magic Brew. So I guess you can look that up and find out what year it won. It's got the full airbrush job. Looks like it might have been done like in the 70s at some time. It's even got, looks like it's got an 8-track player in there. I'll come around the other side and show you that. So it's definitely one that was built in the 1970s. It's kind of cool to see because this is kind of what was going on with hot rodding back in the 1970s. It's got the raised white letter tires. See, look at that. It's got a AM/FM 8-track, like something you would buy at like a stereo store back in the day. Of course, full custom wraparound interior. And then this etched glass thing was popular back then as well on hot rods, to have the designs in the glass. But and of course the old school blower, and really cool to see because obviously it's a part of hot rodding history. All right, I realize I don't do a lot of motorcycles on my channel, even though I'm a motorcycle scooter nut. This one's actually an marque racer, so you might say, well, that's an Italian bike. What's it doing here? Marque was actually owned by Harley Davidson. If you remember, a lot of the smaller Harleys that they sold in the 1960s and 1970s were actually produced by Marque in Italy and sold through Harley dealerships. Especially like through like the AMF era. This looks a little bit earlier than that. It's Marque badged. It's not Harley badged, but still like a really, really awesome bike that definitely has an American connection. All right, here's kind of one that's a real oddball. It's actually a Shelby. This is a 1990 Dodge Shelby Daytona. You don't see these really anymore, especially not in this condition. This one looks to be all original and in absolutely gorgeous condition. So definitely something you could take to like a Radwood event, and people would definitely take pictures and crowd around this guy. But like I said, you just don't see these anymore. And here's one that's in absolutely amazing condition, and it's really is a part of Shelby history. While it's not, you know, one of the high value cars of the 1960s, it's still something that is going to gather a lot of attention, and it's interesting to see. Here's something you don't see very often. This is a Mark 1 Volkswagen GTI, and it's super clean. So I'm going to video this guy. These have gotten pretty scarce. And of course, a lot of these, when they were new, they were just, you know, they were kind of beaten into the ground. So to see one, this one actually looks pretty original. It's even got the unleaded fuel decal next to the fuel filler. So I think this is actually might even be an original paint car. So just to see one so original in this kind of condition is pretty amazing, and I mean definitely something you don't see very often. All right, so there's a really cool early 60s Falcon. This one's like a 63 or so, if I remember my Falcon grills properly, and it's pretty much set up for road racing. It's got the cool flared out fender extensions there with the American Racing torque thrust wheels. It's got an old school like art center. Oh, it's not that old. It's from 2014. Art Center College of Design in Pasadena. Oh, sorry, it's a 63 Falcon. So that's what I said. Wasn't that what I said? But ready to go racing. It's got the shut off in the back there, and then gas filler's blocked off, so it's probably got a fuel cell in the trunk. But exhaust coming out the right in front of the rear wheels. This thing is pretty darn sweet. This is like one of the coolest Falcons I've seen in a while. right, so tell me your name.
My name is Thomas.
Okay, he's going to tell me about his Capri. It's a 72, I heard you say?
72, 2.6. And yeah, all original paint. It's Daytona yellow.
Yeah.
And, the interior fully restored. It's some stuff to the engine here. But I try to keep it all original and could need the paint job, but I'm not going to do that. So.
No, they're only original ones.
Yeah. Chrome bumpers, blue plates, California blue plates. It's a nice driver.
So here's the 1972 Capri, a very original car, as you can see. I mean, you don't find these anymore, especially not in this kind of condition. It's got an original dealer decal on the bumper there. Just a real nice, tidy, original car.
My name is Bruce Meyer, and I've been involved here at the museum since Robert E. Petersen found the building back in the early 90s. And what we're all about is celebrating our heritage, our history, and at the end of the day, I've said it so many times, I'm tired of hearing myself say it, but I'm going to say it one more time. It's all about the people. If there wasn't a car on that lot, we'd all be here just as enthusiastic to be together and celebrating and enjoying each other's company and our favorite topic, the automobile.
Okay, so included with entry for the Cars and Coffee for the Bruce Meyer's American Car Cruisin' was entry to the Petersen Museum. And actually, I was only going to show stuff from the show, but this is just too bitchin' not to show. This is actually the 1978 Ford Mustang II King Cobra from the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So I'm a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm a big fan of Malaysia era cars. So I pretty much had to show this one because it's just pretty bitchin'. So again, this is the actual car used in the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Okay, so there's something that's really, really cool. There's a lot of cool like automobile industry people that came to this cruise-in this morning. But I talked to a lot of them. There's a lot of cool people, and I talked to a guy from Auto Trader, and they actually took a picture of my Pacer, and they featured it in the on their Instagram page. So I'm going to overlay that post here, and you can, as long as it's not too far in the future, I'm sure you can go back and find it on Instagram if you really, really want to. But I thought that was pretty cool. That's kind of a cool benefit of coming here to the show. And that's about going to do it here at Bruce Meyer's American Car Cruisin' at the Petersen Museum. And if you like what you see, be sure to comment as to what your favorite car you saw here. Hopefully it was my Pacer. That's definitely my favorite car because it's mine. And be sure to like and subscribe because I do a lot of automobile content. Hopefully I'll be getting out to the junkyard to shoot more of that footage and also some cool car culture landmarks. I've definitely got some ideas for some videos. So until next time, I'll be seeing you.